Well, welcome back to another episode of Spotlight, and today we're at Next Focus Emerging Verticals, and I'm with our headline sponsor, Wojciech from Bugsy Empire. He's the CEO. So welcome to the show. Let's start from the beginning. How did you end up building a paid media agency focusing on sweepstakes and gaming?
Well, the primary focus was not actually, sweepstake and building an agency. That's a fun fact. So I've been working for, a couple of big operators, big names in the industry. I mean, in Malta, I think everyone went through the school of Betson Group and Leo Vegas and whatnot, a couple of big names. We had, I worked for a startup company, online casino operator, Real Money Gaming, focus on Japanese market. And then the brand got sold twice, but after the first exit, basically, of the team, I kind of pivoted into, okay, let's do something, I don't want to be part of the big structure, the weekly presentations with numbers, stuff like that. And that was the first spark, like, okay, let's do something, something else. In sense of, I was always on the marketing side of things, programmatic, PPC, Google Meta, Black Hat marketing as well back in the days. Of course, Japan. So we had to be, let's say, creative and unconventional in this regard. And then we started basically with a small SEO website in Poland. I'm from Poland, so that was our main focus. We managed to sell the website, and we reinvested everything. We said, okay, Google Ads, and let's start from building some affiliation module sort of thing. So that was it. Three guys passionate about marketing, somewhat knowledgeable in iGaming industry, and we gave it a go. So that was about 6 years ago now. 5-6 years ago, and then of course we started, getting to know people, building our network, and we gave our first go with first agency model, sort of commercial. It was programmatic display advertising for two brands in Poland, licensed operators in Poland, and that was it. That's how we started, to where we are today, which is basically over 50 employees. We still run some affiliation in the US market now. So everything, I would say, pivoted into US, running over 30 sweepstakes operators when it comes to paid media and creative. We are pivoting now to UAE. We are trying to pivot to, we have a couple of new partners in Canada, licensed Real Money Gaming in US. So yeah, I would say it's becoming, I wouldn't say global. US, I would say it's a strong 75% of the business. But of course, sweepstake, I think we just got in the right time, in the right moment. We managed to expand our paid media spends, which gave us very good access and a network within ad networks themselves, where today we are, Google partner, Meta Agency Pro Team, Snapchat partner, and TikTok. So obviously you have different kind of ways of getting direct access in terms of any issues whatsoever with advertising account, creatives being blocked and whatnot, to basically help operators much quicker than any standard customer service ticket would, right? And I think this really helps our iGaming and being an operator, being self-funded operator at the time. So we are also ex-entrepreneurial, background side of things. This really helps in understanding, in the way we talk with operators, and I think that's what they like, and that's why we are where we are today, which is managing so many brands and basically expanding on that.
Yeah, it's a very immersive business that you're in as well. But for anyone that's not really into this deep world of marketing and paid media, what would you describe Bugsy Empire? What do they actually do? What do you do on a daily basis in plain terms? What does a typical week look like?
That's easy. You drip with coffee and stay awake 16 hours. It's actually not as easy as one would think. We are based in Europe. We're working a lot with US market, right? So sometimes it's double shifts. Richie, we wake up to a ton of messages from the night, which of course when we kind of office closes, the hours, the US wakes up and things are coming in, which gives us time to set things up and optimize and whatnot. send the feedback, and then of course, myself, Marcello, a couple of other guys in the team, we work double shifts pretty much.
Wow.
So day to day, it's being challenging at times, especially, I wouldn't say work-life balance exists, but then at the same time, we are very passionate about what we do. So I don't take it as like, fully work. Sometimes it's funny, Saturday I try to leave it to kids and family, and then Sunday comes, I'm like, okay, I want to check stats, I want to see what's happening. So it basically became a passion at some point. Of course, we need to balance it out, but day to day is basically dealing with ad networks, with partners, with demands, with requests, with explanations, because a lot of that, believe it or not, is actually educating as well. Like, okay, why did you change this? Why do you optimize towards that? Why this creative? Why not that? So, there's a lot of education behind that, and day to day pulling the rope sometimes with clients. Like, okay, you might think that this is most beautiful creative and we should run and push this creative. And I will tell you, no, I don't care what you think, because you are not the end customer. We need to make money for you. We see across that many markets, that many brands, and all the benchmarks, what works, and like, okay, do your beautiful, Pixar 3D, Disney style creative, but at the same time, you have to, what algorithm likes is a lot of turnover of creatives, and we need to mix hi-fi and low-fi, so low quality sometimes, but quick animations and quick wins and stuff like that. And it's not sometimes what we love the most, but that's what algorithm loves. So
sometimes you have to sacrifice that, for the algorithm. And I think, if you want to be a successful business, you do have to, kind of forego the beauty for, the algorithm sometimes, sadly. So you're working with a lot of operators across the board right now, and I wouldn't expect you to name names, but what is the general mood for operators? Are people feeling confident where Sweepstakes is at the moment in the industry, or is there a bit of nervousness where that sort of, it's not public nervousness, but there is an uncertainty of where the industry is going?
Yeah, like I would say there's a couple, obviously we work with a lot of operators, as you mentioned, but those that generate about 80% of total ad spend that is being run through us, they're ahead in a sense of planning about the product, team expansion. I wouldn't say they're scared or from all the legal changes, states closing down. They already a couple of months ago we advised like, okay, one is pivoting towards, not pivoting, I wouldn't say pivoting, because they are still they're being profitable and they're building a machine behind the Sweepstakes product. But they already think about pivoting to another geography. They are thinking about, one about prediction markets, someone else about ADW, right, which is the basically horseplay background of slots. So the big guys are, they're basically planning the next steps. That's how you have to act. Yes, if you invested so much money already and so much behind, focus on optimizing the current operation and marketing, and build what's next to come and be prepared for that, right? Whilst the smaller ones, we still get much less requests now. I think the Q3, Q4 was like the peak. Like October was like, I don't know, every day I was getting like a new request like, hey, we are about to launch, let's spend 1,000 a day, on Meta and see what happens next 3-4 months, how the product responds. That's not really the way, and we didn't see anyone with this kind of approach performing particularly well. So I would say the moods are still, with most big operators are good. The smaller ones, we just see much less, of this type of requests, and much more requests of like, hey, do you know who can help us with ADW licensing? Hey, what would you suggest in terms of prediction market? Which trading platform should we white label and try to, So yeah, I think this, the way I see it is there's always opportunity, and it's a matter of what's your background and your knowledge of running such product and lean sort of operation, lean in terms of, making, it can be a big team, yes, but making sure that the operations and the cost of operations is kind of, in good ratio mix of what you produce back as a business, right?
Yeah. And From where you're sitting with managing paid media of lots of brands, what separates the operators who are genuinely thriving right now from the ones that are finding it maybe a little bit more tough and need more of your advice at times? And what is it that's helping these businesses thrive? Is it the product? Is it their marketing? Or is it something else entirely?
I would say it's a mix of things. You cannot have, Porsche and driving it with, a Fiat Cinquecento engine, the way I like to see it. Quite a mix. Definitely, you can have the most beautiful, creative, and the best tech setup on marketing side. If the product, maybe it will deliver in terms of acquisition, but can you retain the player? Can you actually break even on this player and make some positive outcome of it? That's another thing. So I think it's quite a mix of product is equally important. Your operations and operational cost is important, and marketing as well. But not, as well. You cannot just say, okay, let's do Meta, spend 1 million a month on Meta only ads, and say, okay, we'll make it, $1 million business. It's quite a mix again, marketing mix, and the way I see it, through of course the operators that we see being successful, it's quite a mix of unconventional marketing, which will be also something outside of the box, so not just Meta, not just Google, TikTok, Snapchat, which obviously Google is even trickier now. So even Google for me became unconventional now, yes, because Google shut the door on Sweepstakes, right? But then there's still ways to advertise it. We still have a couple of brands that we are spending 7 figures a month. It's just a matter of understanding the policy. It's maybe not fully politically correct to say, because obviously we work close with Google guys as well. And if you are running freemium landing page, freemium ads, and focus on the freemium keywords, and they still bring value to those brands, right? So it's pretty much about whole kind of ecosystem and understanding it most of all. So we had a couple of big, not big, but like crypto guys or real estate guys. We heard it's trendy, let's build a brand, It's not that easy. It's not that trendy. It's trendy, but it's not that easy, right? To actually become a profitable business and make money out of it as a business, right? A lot of people thought about it this way, and a lot of people failed as well on the go. We had brands that were trying for months and months, optimizing, building, but not the right way, not the right kind of setups in terms of product, lacking some retention, gamification, CRM systems and whatnot, and didn't go anywhere in 10 months or 12 months down the line. The numbers were just the same and not profitable, unfortunately.
I mean, what you've alluded to is that the operators that are successful are those that are able to pivot, they're able to think creatively, and also take your advice on the best direction. And of course, we're seeing restrictions and regulations and bans of traditional sweepstakes models right now, and that's why, as you mentioned, operators are looking sideways. They're looking at other alternatives like prediction markets, ADW, mystery boxes, even international expansion. From what you're seeing, which of those directions genuinely excites you? Because you mentioned that what keeps you going is that the love of the game, the passion. So what are the sort of directions that the industry is taking that actually excite you as well?
I would say all of them are exciting. I see opportunity in all of them. Again, there'll be a handful of operators that will probably, on paper will be looking good, will engage, and down the line you realize, okay, things are not as smooth on product side, sometimes on the, scaling side, or, maybe the financial backing, the second tranche won't come because the numbers are not financially as attractive as they were promised also on the other side of the business. And, it won't scale to the levels it was kind of discussed at the early days of the business. Of course, we always, obviously we try to do our best in terms of, I think we have a very good understanding of how the algorithm works, how the network works. Obviously, as soon as prediction markets started becoming, noisy in the industry, we obviously had to learn about it, talk to people, build network and understand how the whole ecosystem and the mechanics of this work behind. But, so then it's a matter of applying, if you look at the prediction market ads, They're so simple, much simpler than we used to do in regulated sports betting, you know, where we run some dynamic ads, changing odds and stuff. Here, it's sometimes it's static ad of will team A or team B. What's your kind of trade on the result? Yeah, it's much simpler actually, and doesn't mean it won't work. So it's a matter of understanding how the platform works and how to optimize those ads to give the most juice out of it. Then if the product can handle and keep that juice going and keep squeezing that lemon, so the player basically keeping retaining him, that's what will count as an endpoint after all, right?
I think that is a really good point, actually. That the ads can be fantastic and they can lead to people actually going onto the site. But if the UI and UX isn't quite up to speed or up to scratch, then your retention is still not going to be.
Or sometimes even the brands don't even think about actually retention tool. Okay, sometimes we had brands coming like, especially early days when we were not as experienced. When we actually started the agency model part, we had brands coming and we were like, okay, guys, but something is not right. Like we see, okay, the brand maybe converts, the flow is okay, the welcome offer, the product, okay, the user likes what they see on the front side, but then we see that average purchase doesn't grow at all. Like, okay, guys, what do you do in terms of CRM? And then it's like, yeah, we are onboarding one of the tools, right? It's like 3 months away. Really. So like you are not even live with a CRM engine behind. And what do? You don't. Yeah, we have like just system email with reset password, welcome offer. That's it. No segmentation. No. Okay, obviously you are burning money with the shovel straight in the chimney, right?
Yeah.
So now obviously we're like literally now onboarding a new customer. It's like a new partner for us. I have a predefined set of questions, which is quite a proper due diligence. Sometimes that we actually say, okay, sorry, but we won't take it. And a bit like lawyers, right? Where it's like if they know the case is in the case lost, don't get me wrong, we are there to help brands grow. But if you don't have the base, like, okay, I can help you consult, okay, you need to go for this CRM system, you should have this on the product side, this in gamification, maybe this and that payment, or this and that benchmark in terms of acceptance rates on cards payment. But we cannot, come as an agency and be your VP of marketing and build everything, right? So, yeah.
That's. I mean, it's great advice that you're giving to individuals and companies, even if it is no, we cannot go a step further with you at this time because, you need to put these things in place. You need a better architecture. You need better foundation before you come to us with that next level. So it makes sense, and I think it's still a very valuable piece of advice that you're giving, even if it is, we'll see you again in maybe 6 months or a year.
Like we never just shut the door and say, okay, exactly. Listen, we don't think with what you present, what you have today in hand, makes sense for you to spend the money you want to spend, because you will tell me you want to spend 1 million a month by month 3 or 4. Really, we see now, we've seen it, not all, of course, but with A to Z in terms of tech, products, marketing tech, what's behind. We don't think it makes sense for you to spend so. And we don't want to be part of burning that, because you will come in 3 or 4 months and tell us, hey, I spent 1 million, we are not profitable. But, we can do only as much as a marketing agency or, after all, it's not a full rocket science. We are good in it, but, there's a lot of good guys in it, right? Also in the internal teams. So, yeah.
It's fully understandable that, I think it's a good approach. And one of the pain points, I guess, for Sweeps operators has been that reliable access to the major marketing platforms like your Google, your Meta, even TikTok, maybe. How much is it a factor when operators are thinking about what to do next in terms of getting that access to these platforms? And are there any other verticals that can actually solve that problem?
I mean, all of them in some way. It kind of, pretty much depends how your product is built as well. Because even with Sweepstakes, as mentioned before, we have brands live on Google, right? We have brands live on TikTok, which today, if you come as a Sweepstakes brand, put the URL as is, it's a no-go, right? The same when it comes to mystery boxes. Mystery box is a very wide topic, depending on the skin and how the mechanic works. The ecosystem of mystery boxes is one thing, but then we have one of the brands that kind of does probability model of what kind of trading cards you will get from your pack. You know, like imagine you have a set of NBA players cards, right? And possibility that you will get Steve Curry will be, I don't know, 0.1%, right? So this probability model, and it's not whitelisted as a you know, real money gaming. It's actually whitelisted as e-commerce, believe it or not. You know, the same with ADW. So the horseplay slots, there's actually a separate category to be able to whitelist if you have the right licenses in place, the right documentation behind. There's a way to actually whitelist the product on advertising. So all of them are equally interesting and possible. Even so, Sweepstakes still is.
And when a brand comes to you with a new product, and that something hasn't been really run at scale on paid media before, what's your approach to figuring out how to even approach that product? And what would that first 90 days look like when you're approaching someone that comes to you with one of these products?
You know, it's actually happening even now today, because actually today we have very first ADW brand that have gone live, and we are about to start marketing with them. So obviously today we have no benchmark. We don't know what will be the CPA, how much, you know, with the limitation of daily ad spending, which platform will perform better than the other. But the same with Sweepstakes brand. Also, you know, even though we have benchmarks of 30 brands, it still doesn't mean that your brand will be performing the same as other brand at the same spend levels, right? We have 3 different brands on completely different spend levels. One spending 2,000 a day, other is spending 20,000 a day, and the third one 100K a day, and they are all on $80 CPA. You know, the same cost of acquisition. Why? Because one is doing, you know, they have brand ambassadors, they do radio, CTV, a holistic 360 marketing mix, whilst the other is like, let's just do meta, product doesn't stick, the flow of cashier and the registration page is not right, not fully optimized. So there is a lot of, you know, things behind that come in play. So the first 90 days is usually like, we never will tell you, hey, you need to have 1 million budget for first 3 months. We'll tell you, we will start $100 a day, scale it to maybe $800, 1K a day, and data will tell us, you know, where we are and what we should do as well at this point, right? So yeah, the first 90 days it's always basically slowly building up, learning on the data, sometimes coming back to drawing board like, hey, we won't push to your 10K a day budget because doesn't make sense if we convert it, I don't know, 10% and CPA is already $100. Okay, let's do step back, right?
Yeah, but that is why, you know, you need a trusted paid media partner to, you know, not just burn all their money away. It helps to have actually someone who's genuinely wanting to help them as well.
The thing is, you know, just jumping into that, it's like we want basically, if we tell you, okay, no, it's fine, just let's spend, you will see, if you spend 10 times more, you will be at where you want to be. You want. So if we burn this relationship early days, you know, why would we? Like, what's the point? Okay, that we make money, maybe more money from the ad spending fee, whatever, in first 2 months, and then we burn the relationship. The product gets out of money, and you know, usually it's mostly it's cool people behind it. You know, so we believe in one, industry being relatively small, so our ways will always connect somewhere, and two, you know, we want to build long-term partnerships because if we help them grow and optimize, and sometimes you know, pull, deliver. Okay, let's spend a bit less. Check this, check that, you know, and we build gradually to something, you know, more profitable in the long term. Usually it also, okay, of course, not always, comes back in like, hey guys, like, you know, okay, thank you for building with us together. And eventually they will sell, eventually they will do something else, or, you know, tell about us to some other friends who are the operator, which we face now as well. So I think it's, honesty still pays back in the industry, anyhow.
Well, now here comes the tricky question is, if you could give one piece of advice to an operator who is undecided right now, they're sitting on the fence and they're not sure if they should double down on sweeps or pivot to something new or expand internationally, what advice would you give an uncertain operator?
Yeah, I think I would say, if it's another market, do you have a way to drive traffic in that market? I'm not talking just about Meta or whatever we do, right? But do you have an idea about the market? Do you know, okay, if it's, I don't know, Sweepstakes going live in Brazil, how many brands do you have live in Brazil today, right? We are talking about, a lot of people talk about Australia and Germany. We know about 2, 3, 4 brands being live. like how much data do you have to back the decision, At the same time, there was always someone being first in the market and conquering it. Do you have enough financial backing and a good enough product that you believe in, that you want to go and just spend everything and just build this legacy from day one? I don't know a lot of these type of brands. Of course, if you are a multi-brand and massive company, operator behind, yeah, probably they would, one or the other will do it, right? And they do, of course. But if you are like kind of hanging on a thread, maybe you have a 1-2 million cash flow from investor, and you are thinking what's best to do, I would say, let's look into the product. Let's see if you are an existing sweepstake today, does it make sense to pivot fully to prediction market because everyone talks about it? I don't know. It's not a lot of data we have yet in terms of marketing, unless you work directly in one of the biggest guys now already. Maybe to rebuild entire ecosystem where you already have the base, you have the somewhat, the entity, the legal opinion and whatnot. Yeah. I would rather look into pivoting if you are a sweepstake casino, maybe into ADW or social 2.0 sort of, right? Single currency with loyalty, stuff like that. If you are DFS or sweepstake sports betting, maybe it makes sense then to look into prediction because it's kind of closer in terms of even product preparation behind. Not the same, of course. Right? Sports betting versus prediction, it's two different platforms. But understanding the end user is sort of closer, right?
Yeah, there's I guess a cross section of the user base. I guess that there is some similarity. Yeah. Final one from me is it's a hugely volatile space, I guess, with lots of different verticals. That's why we're here today, talking about the emerging verticals in this industry. Where do you think this whole space looks like in the next 2 years? Will it be consolidated? Will it be even more fragmented than it is right now? Bigger than ever? What do you think?
That's an interesting one as well, especially looking that we are in, look at AI, for example, right?
Yeah.
If you ask me 6 months ago about what's the AI future in 2 years, I would say, maybe we'll be able to build a platform in 3 months using AI agents. And everyone would tell me, right. Of course, today you have entire ecosystem of agents being a CTO, agents being a QA tester only, and testing and building, based on two, dev and prompter who has an idea behind, right? We see it happening today in the space. So we don't know, even advertising space is changing. We are internally, we are actually building some AI models as well to be able to auto-report on creative level, on log changes, straight on Slack to the partner without our involvement, So I don't know what will happen in the next 6 months, right? But the space, it happened before. The history kind of, turns around. Back in the days, DFS was live in all of the states. Now we are, 20-something states. There are still businesses making money out of DFS, right? Doesn't mean that it will disappear. I believe that the same will follow with sweepstakes. Maybe some states will regulate, like it happened with RMG. Maybe some states will just leave it as is. Yeah. Probably we'll lose a couple of more states. For sure, because it's already happening, right? Some will stay, the ones that grew before and have a strong position, name and brand, will stay and thrive on it, plus probably expand using that cash flow into other things. Smaller ones will probably, change the direction if they didn't manage to build enough until today. So I don't think we can answer 0 to 1, this is what will happen. Yeah. No one knows, not even the guys working on the legal side of things, There is some states that are being back and forth since a year about banning sweepstakes, and it's just failing every year. Maybe at some point they will decide to regulate or just leave it as is. So I think again, opportunity lies in all of them, even sweepstakes today. Even though 2-3 years ago there was way less operators, much lower CPA, but then again, market was much less educated. So now there's much bigger amount of users that actually understand sweepstake and are players today, right? So I think especially US, talking about North America, I think there is opportunity still in sweepstakes, but also real money gaming, social casino space, and all of the new
The emerging verticals.
Emerging verticals. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it's quite ironic, isn't it, that one of the biggest topics this year is prediction markets, and yet what we struggle to predict is the future of this industry. You know, like
even about the predictions. Can we predict if prediction markets make sense to today?
Exactly.
I mean, you know, there's already so many brands doing crazy numbers there, right? There's some brands we've heard recently about, you know, raising ton of money on crazy valuation, being such a startup, right? But then, you know, will all those, you know, 100 brands suddenly launch and be successful?
Yeah.
I don't think so. You know, it's not everyone will, but we know that it's in every industry, not just gaming, right?
Yeah.
People try to, I don't know, make money on stock exchange or buy apartments and run Airbnbs. Not everyone can make it through, but you know, that's a good space to be, and you know, try to advise the smaller ones the best to our knowledge as we can, and
Amazing. Thank you so much, Wojciech, for your time, and also for being part of Next Focus Emerging Verticals.
Yeah, thank you very much.
Thank you.